this class, I would ask you to subscribe to the channel, give your like, and leave your comment. Hi people, hello, I hope you're doing fine. Today in our class, what time is it? We will be talking about hours, how to relate to them, and so on. So the first thing we have to talk is about the hours in English. For the exact hours, we use the term o'clock. To the fraction hours, up to the first half, invert the minutes and the hours and use the word past. And about the minutes from the second half, use the minutes that lack to complete the coming hour and the word to. And here we have two examples. 15 or a quarter past 7 and 15 a quarter to 8. And here we have the sentences and also the image of Flavor Flav, who is a member of Public Enemy, hip-hop group. As we are talking about hours, it's essential that we also talk about the periods of the day. In the case of the hours belong to the periods of the day, morning, afternoon, evening, and night, we use two terms, AM, ante-meridian, to the hours between midnight and noon, and PM, post-meridian, to the hours between noon and midnight. And here we have some examples. 6 a.m. is equal to 6 o'clock, whilst 6 p.m. is equal to 18 o'clock. So these are the different periods of the day related to the hours in our life in general. Now we will talk about working hours. That are those hours that people relate then to working time. In Brazil, the working hours usually are between 8 a.m. up to 6 p.m. The traditional North American business hour are 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. In China, it is still common abusive working hours, mainly in factories, and some employees can work 12 hours a day. And you can see here, this machine is a machine used to identify the hours when the employee gets in the company. So he had to put a card, as you can see, the white card, and this card has a mark on it indicating the hour the employee get in the job. As I said before about the abusive working hours in China, I bring you here the 996 rule. So known as 996, the term is a shorthand for a work schedule spanning from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days per week. Despite some rules trying to control the abusive working hours, it is still part of the Chinese working culture to use this schedule. So the 996 rule is this rule that shows that people work from 9 to 9, 6 days a week, includes Saturday, and just leaving the Sunday for activities with families and things like that, as we can see in the picture. Representing the 996 rule in China. On the other hand, we can talk about the Netherlands. A standard Dutch working week is 38 hours. The majority of full-time jobs in the Netherlands are between 36-40 hours a week, or 5 days a week, 7 to 8 hours a day. Some companies have a 40-hour work week instead of the standard 38 hours, in which case employees receive more salary for more hours worked. So the Netherlands is the opposite side of the Chinese 99/6 rule. So in the Netherlands, people work less hours, and if they work more hours, they get more money. So in a way, I guess it's just to do like that. And we can see that comparing to China and the Netherlands, Brazil stays in the middle, as always happened to our country. However, when we talk about working hours, we are talking about typical jobs. But some jobs, they are not typical and they have different working hours, as for example, the musician working hours. In some jobs, the working schedule are very different from the typical schedule. Musicians, for instance, normally work in the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, and in the evenings from 6 p.m. up to 6 a.m. And in the picture, we have the musician Miles Davis, and he is in the backstage of a concert waiting to get on stage. So for musicians, the moment people are relaxing for the normal jobs is exactly the time where the musician is working to entertain these employees who work in the typical jobs. As we are talking about musicians and musicians' period of work, we have here an example from the song Rock Around the Clock by Bill Haley and his comments, when he said, "Put your glad rags on and join me home. We'll have some fun when the clock strikes 1. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. We're gonna rock, rock, rock till the broad daylight. We're gonna rock, rock, rock around the clock tonight." And so this song is related to the hours, and as you can see, when he said the clock strikes 1, I imagine he's talking about 1 in the morning, where the music is just going on from the previous night. And this is considered one of the first rock and roll songs in history, and it was pretty common to people to listen to the song and lose their minds because it was something new for the times, like the end of the 50s, the beginning of the 60s. Now, I want you to answer this question. What do you think is the just working hours per day and why? We have been discussing in our class about working hours, and now I want to know your opinion about this topic.